Welcome to ATP. A viewer recently suggested doing a video on typhoons and their impact on the Philippines. And so in today's video, we'll look at the Philippine typhoon belt and the frequency of typhoons in this region, the loss of human life, the financial costs they create, and see why two Philippine regions historically always receive the brunt of these storms while the third does not. The Philippines is a typhoon-prone country with approximately 20 typhoons entering its area of responsibility each year. Known locally as bagyo, typhoons regularly form in the Philippine Sea and less regularly in the South China Sea, with the months of June to September being the most active, while August being the month with the most activity. Each year, at least 10 typhoons are expected to hit the island nation, with 5 expected to be destructive and powerful. In 2013, Time magazine declared the country as the most exposed country in the world to tropical storms. Typhoons typically make an east to west route in the country, heading north or west due to the Coriolis effect. As a result, landfalls occur in the regions of the country that face the Pacific Ocean, especially eastern Visayas, Bicol region, and northern Luzon, whereas Mindanao is largely free of typhoons. The 1881 Haiphong typhoon is believed to be the deadliest typhoon to have affected the country in history, killing an estimated 20,000 people in its path. However, in modern meteorological records, the record goes to Typhoon Yolanda, internationally known as Haiyan, which became the strongest typhoon to make landfall in the entire meteorological history at that time, killing no less than 6,000 people as it crossed the Visayas in November 2013. The wettest known tropical cyclone to impact the archipelago was the July 14 through 18, 1911 cyclone, which dropped over 87 inches of rainfall within a 3-day, 15-hour period in the northern city of Baguio. Tropical typhoons usually account for at least 30% of the annual rainfall in the northern Philippines, while being responsible for less than 10% of the annual rainfall in the southern islands. According to the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, known as PAGASA, in 2016, the number of destructive typhoons the country experienced annually have increased, but notes that it is too early to call it a trend. PAGASA is the state weather agency of the Philippines, and yearly, the agency gives a local name to the typhoons that enter its area of responsibility. The state agency also regularly issues weather bulletins and advisories to the public, especially during typhoons. It uses a 5-point warning scale that are issued to the entirety or parts of the provinces and localities affected by the typhoon. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council is the country's top agency for preparation and response to calamities and natural disasters, including typhoons. Additionally, each province and local government units has their own Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office. Each provincial and local government is required to set aside 5% of its annual budget for disaster risk reduction, preparations, and response. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center in Honolulu started monitoring and naming storms in the Western Pacific region in 1945, originally using female names in English alphabetical order. That list was revised in 1979 by introducing male names to be used in alternation with the female names. The Philippine Weather Bureau started naming storms within their area of responsibility in 1963, using female Filipino names ending in the former native alphabetical order. The Bureau continued to monitor typhoons until the agency's abolition in 1972, after which its duties were transferred to the newly established PCASA. This often resulted in a Western Pacific cyclone carrying two names, an international name and a local name used within the Philippines. This two-name scheme is still followed today. The PCASA naming scheme for Philippine use contains 4 lists, each containing 25 names arranged in alphabetical order. Every typhoon season begins with the first name in the assigned list, and the rolls of names are each reused every 4 years. An auxiliary list of 10 names is used when the main list in a year had been exhausted. In the case of both weather agencies, names are retired after a typhoon that carried it caused severe or costly damage and loss of life. Retirement is decided by the agency's committees, although in PCASA's case, names are routinely retired when the cyclone caused at least 300 deaths or 1 billion peso in damage in the Philippines. Retired names are replaced with another name for the next rotation, and for PCASA with a name sharing the same first letter as the retired name. On an annual time scale, activity reaches a minimum in May, before increasing steadily to June and spiking from July to September, with August being the most active month for tropical typhoons in the Philippines. Activity reduces significantly in October, the most active season since 1945 for tropical cyclone strikes on the island archipelago was 1993, when 19 tropical cyclones moved through the country, though there were 36 storms named by PCASA. A list of the most deadliest Philippine typhoons shows Typhoon Haiphong in 1881 took the lives of more than 20,000 people, followed by Typhoon Yolanda, known as Haiyan, in 2013, which killed more than 6,000 Filipinos. It has become an almost annual event that the Philippines spends billions of peso to clean up and rebuild after these devastating typhoons pass through. The Philippine typhoon belt shows us how strong and devastating these storms can be, but just as strong is the Philippine people's spirit, which shines bright to help and support others through these disasters. Following our safety precautions to be taken before, during, and after when a typhoon is imminent. If you have found value in this video, a big thumb up is appreciated. God bless. Stay safe and have a great day.